Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Black again, and I'm going to read you the second part of our book, The Notebook of Doom, The Rise of the Balloon Goons by Troy Cummings. And if you remember, Mr. Cummings is coming to our school on May 3rd, and right before break we sent home a order form that you could order some of his books, and when he visits us in May, you can get them signed by him. So we will go ahead and get started. Chapter 6, Going Down. Alexander looked up at the hospital. Right away, he noticed how this Stedmont Elementary was better than the other one. Number one, the lights were on. Number two, it hadn't been knocked over by bulldozers. A man sat at the front desk, writing on a clipboard. He had frizzy white hair that stood straight up. Alexander read the nameplate on the desk. "Excuse me," said Alexander. "Yep," Mr. Horsley said. "You scared me." "Sorry," said Alexander. "I'm new here and, oh, you must be Alexander." Mr. Horsley checked his clipboard. "Well, look at that. Happy sort of birthday?" He checked his watch. His eyebrows shot up. "You're late and filthy. And why are you only wearing one shoe?" Stedmont Elementary students must wear both shoes at all times. School policy, said Mr. Horsley. He pulled a pair of green galoshes out of the lost and found. "Quick, put these on before the principal sees you." Alexander took the galoshes. They looked like little froggies. "I can't wear these," he said. "Miss Vanderpants will flip if she sees a sock-footed student," said Mr. Horsley. Alexander made a sour face and pulled just the left galosh over his sock. "Perfect. Now let's find your class," said Mr. Horsley, checking his clipboard. "Sixth graders are in the emergency room. Kindergartners are in brain surgery. Here you are." He pointed to the elevators. "Press M to get to your classroom." Alexander stepped into the elevator and pressed M. The elevator went down several floors and then opened. Alexander read the sign on the wall. "Morgue," he thought, stepping out of the elevator. But that's where hospitals keep dead bodies. Chapter 7, The Morgue, the Merrier. Alexander tugged open the big metal door and peeked into a cold, windowless classroom. The walls were lined with little square doors. Most of the doors were open, with long metal slabs sticking out like tables. Alexander's new classmates were using these slabs as desks. The class grew silent as Alexander stepped into the room. "Who dares enter the forbidden chamber?" boomed a loud voice. One of the square doors in the back of the room shuddered and then burst open. "Ah!" screamed Alexander. A grinning man had popped out of the hatch. Just kidding, welcome. I'm Mr. Plunkett." He wore a pink and orange flowery shirt, green pants, and purple shoes. Mr. Plunkett wrote Alexander Bop on the board. Then he plopped a pointy hat onto Alexander's head. "Why don't you introduce yourself?" Hi, I'm new, and it's great to meet you, and my dad is a dentist, and we just moved to Stedmont yesterday, and, Alexander said way too fast. The classroom door swung open with a big jerk. Rip Bonkowski barged into the room. "Who's the weenie?" Rip said, staring at Alexander. "Now, Rip," said Mr. Plunkett, "is it a good idea to call someone a weenie?" Mr. Plunkett turned to the class. "Remember what we talked about in our writing unit? You can call anyone a weenie. So boring." He winked at Alexander. "If you're going to give someone a nickname, make it count." Alexander's mouth dropped open. "Let's see." Mr. Plunkett studied Alexander. "Notice his silly frog boot? This guy clearly loves slimy green things." He crossed out Alexander's name and wrote Salamander Snot beneath it. "There," he said. The class broke into laughter. Alexander tore off his hat. "Unbelievable," he snapped. Everybody stopped laughing. "A lousy nickname already? The whole day has been a joke." Alexander gritted his teeth. I've been lost, yelled at, crushed by bricks, and attacked by monsters. He held his hands up like claws. Huge, ugly, terrible, walking balloon goons. Everyone gasped. Then they laughed even harder, except for a hoodie-wearing kid in the back row. He or she scribbled something on his or her notebook. "Oh, Salamander," Mr. Plunkett said through tears of laughter, "you are one funny fellow." Alexander shook his head. Why did I just tell everyone about the balloon goons, he thought. Good thing I didn't mention the monster notebook. Speaking of funny, said Mr. Plunkett, I'd like to discuss a little prank I found on my seat. His eyebrows lowered. Mr. Plunkett slapped a deflated whoopee cushion on his desk. A flat whoopee cushion is no joke, he said. Next time, fill it with air. Ring! The class rushed past Alexander. Finally, lunch. This day is bound to get better, he thought, right? Chapter 8. Spilled Milk. Alexander took the elevator to the cafeteria. Ding! The doors slid open. Frump! Alexander was hit in the face with a dodgeball. Gotcha, Salamander, said Rip. The ball landed with a thud at Alexander's feet. Oh man, it's flat, Rip said. I was hoping to bounce it off your nose. Ripley Bonkowski, came a voice from the other corner. Uh-oh, said Rip. Miss Vanderpants thundered into the view. Alexander, she said, I see you made it to school. Alexander nodded. She turned to Rip. Take a seat now. Rip shot Alexander a mean look. Then he sat down. Alexander breathed a sigh of relief and got in the lunch line. He grabbed some taco surprise and looked for a seat. Most of his classmates were eating together, joking around. The kid in the hoodie sat alone, writing in a notebook. The notebook, remembered Alexander. He found an empty table, unzipped his backpack, and pulled out the notebook. It was filled with drawings of monsters, hairy birds, eight-eyed mushrooms, and mutant earthworms. He read about flying rhinos while he ate. Rhinoceros raptor, an armed beast with a large horn and a massive swan-like wings. Habitat, wherever breakable things are kept. China shops, clock museums, violin factories. Yuck, yuck. Rhinoceraptor feathers are great for tickling your enemies. Diet, leafy plants, and corn dogs. Behavior, these monsters enjoy a peaceful life in the clouds, but if they spot something breakable down below, they immediately dive bomb their target. Warning, stay calm. The Rhinoceros raptor can sense fear, so seriously, don't freak out. The Rhinoceros raptor won't hurt you, but it'll gladly crush anything you care about, like a fishbowl, a sandcastle, Mr. Nuzzlebear, or a picture of your mom. Alexander finished his lunch and closed the notebook, bumping his milk carton. It was 2% milk, but 98% of it splashed onto his pants. He began dabbing the milk off his pants with his napkin. Then he paused mid-dab. There was a message on his napkin. I know about the monsters. It looked like the message had been signed, but the name had been smudged by the spilled milk. Alexander felt a hard slap on his back. Hey, Salamander, said Rip, pulling up a seat. Alexander jammed the notebook into his backpack. Stop calling me that, he said. Why are you trying to hide, said Rip. His hand shot down into what are you trying to hide, said Rip. His hand shot down into Alexander's backpack. That's mine, said Alexander. Rip smiled. What's this? He pulled out a baby blue party invitation. Hey, everybody, Rip announced. Salamander Snot is having a birthday party tomorrow. It looks like he's turning 2. No, Alexander stood up. But then he remembered the wet spot on his pants, so he sat right back down. Rip marched around the lunchroom holding up the card. Alexander felt a gentle pat on his back. Here, said a girl's voice. It was the kid in the hoodie. She wore the hoodie pulled way, way down, but Alexander could see she had friendly eyes. "For your pants," she said. She handed him a paper towel. "Hey, I saw your notebook earlier. A buzzer sounded from the loudspeaker. Womp, womp. Hello, students," said a voice. "This is Mr. Horsley. School has been canceled." "Yay!" shouted Rick as he high-fived a kindergartner on the head. The speaker crackled again. "The tires have gone flat on all the school buses. Miss Vanderpants has called off afternoon classes today, so you will have plenty of time to walk home." Everyone looked into the teacher's table. Mr. Plunkett was clapping. "Flat tires on every bus," he said. "Now that's a prank." The students filed out of the cafeteria. Everyone was excited to be walking home on their own. Everyone except for the filthy, tired, frog-booted kid with wet pants. Chapter 9. Monsters Before Bed. Alexander watched his classmates head off in different directions. The hoodie girl was nowhere to be seen. Could she have slipped me that note, he wondered. On his walk home, Alexander saw one balloon goon, an orange cactus. A group of older kids walked right past it. The balloon danced around, but they didn't seem to notice. Was I really attacked by balloons this morning? Thought Alexander. Maybe the monsters in that weird book are getting to me. Alexander couldn't wait to look more at the notebook. He hurried the rest of the way to his new home, a small yellow house on the edge of town, near Gobbler's Woods. "I'm home," called Alexander. He kicked off his mismatched shoes. His dad was unpacking dishes. "How'd it go?" he asked. Okay," Alexander said. Alexander ate dinner and got ready for bed. It felt good to wash up and change into clean pajamas. He climbed into his air mattress and at last brought out the notebook. What could SSMP stand for, he wondered. And these monsters, are they just some kid doodles? Or could they mean something? He read another entry. Porcupine, a small metal rodent with a coat of tiny, sharp forks. Habitat. Most porcupines prefer dry climates, but the stainless steel porcupine can be found near rivers, lakes, or in the back of dishwashers. C. Klang. Magnets will not work on porcupines. Diet. Mostly pickles and olives. They'll eat steak, but only if it's cut into small bites. Behavior. The porcupine stays sharp by rubbing against a brick wall. Warning. Never pet a porcupine. Instead, lure it to a plate of spaghetti. Porcupines love rolling around in noodles. This will give you time to sneak away. Fun fact. The porcupine is a distant cousin to the sporcupine. But the porcupine's scoop attack is no match for the porcupine's jab. Okay, kiddo, lights out. Alexander's dad peeked in the door. Big day tomorrow. I can't wait to see who comes to your party. Me neither, said Alexander. He faked a yawn and let his blanket fall onto his backpack, still full of invitations. Chapter 10. Birthday. He crossed out the happy. Urgh! Alexander woke up with a sore back. His air mattress was flat, like the dodgeball, he thought, and the tires. Alexander's dad was outside, singing at the top of his lungs. Alexander looked out the window, his jaw dropped. Happy birthday to you. His front yard was full of balloon goons, every size, every color, all of them grinning up at Alexander. His dad was in the middle of the group singing like a rock star. Alexander waved his arms. Dad, no, get out of there, he cried. His dad looked around confused. What? Those goons! They're gonna get you! His dad laughed. "Oh, Al, there's nothing to be afraid of. I called Party Planet yesterday to rent something fun for your birthday. It's set up out back. And then this morning these balloons were waiting in our yard. The store must have thrown them in for free." "Those things are monsters," Alexander shouted. Alexander's dad sighed. "Al, they're not monsters." He strolled through the yard, bopping balloon goons. He even stopped to honk the nose of one of them. "See," he said, "now come downstairs and let's party." Alexander got dressed and headed downstairs. At first glance, Alexander thought his dad had turned the backyard into a birthday wonderland. But then Alexander noticed the melting ice cream, the droopy party balloons, and a nervous clown. "Yikes," thought Alexander. "Good thing I didn't actually invite anyone to this party." Even the main attraction, a bouncy castle, looked like a smushed tent. Said Alexander's dad. "That castle was fully inflated a minute ago. Maybe it's got a leak. I'll go check it out. You go on and say hello to your friend." "Friend?" thought Alexander. He turned to see a square-headed kid carefully making his way through the front yard. The one person to show up to his party, Rip Bonkowski. Alexander frowned and walked toward Rip. All right, that's where we're going to end, and I will read some more to you guys tomorrow. Have a great spring break. Bye.